IED Activity 4.2, Model Creation. The subtractive method of 3D modeling. An object can be viewed as the remainder of a solid block that has had the geometry of one or more forms sequentially removed. In the creation of real-world objects, this method is represented by milling, drilling, turning, grinding, and other manufacturing processes. With the subtractive method, we will start out with a large block. We will remove this image, as you can be seen in this image. We'll take that away, leaving us with this surface and this cube. We then take and we will subtract a cube from this upper corner to end up with our final object. So let's get started. The first step is to create a rectangular solid to enclose the object. To do this, in Inventor, we will need to sketch a 2.25 inch by 1.5 inch rectangle. And then we will extrude it 1 1/2 inches. Let's get started. In Inventor, I've already created a new part, or started a new part. So the first thing I need to do is start a new 2D sketch. I will do it on the XY plane. I will drag down, zoom out a little bit, a couple of clicks of the wheel, and move my origin down to the lower left so that I can get started. Our first step is to create this 2.25 by 1.5 rectangle. So I'll select my rectangle tool with 2 points, go down to where the origin, my cursor is on the origin and it has turned green so that it is constrained. Come up and to the right and type in 2.25 for the top dimension, which is the width, and 1.5 for the height dimension. Once I've done that, the locks are in place showing that they are constrained in those dimensions. I will hit enter. At this point, I will finish the sketch. Click on my home view, go to the extrude button. As you can see, my object is now extruded, but it's only extruded 1 inch, so I'll change that to 1.5 inches. Again, go back to my home view so that I can see what it looks like. The next step requires that I cut away this portion down here. In order to do that, we need to start a new 2D sketch. So I'll highlight this front surface, right click on it, and select New Sketch from the pop-up menu. Again, click my mouse button wheel down, drag it down here so I can pan down to see it better. And I'm going to start by drawing a series of lines that are going to be over top of the current view. So I'll click on my line tool, start in the upper left corner, excuse me. When it turns green, I'm constrained. I'm going to come down 0.75 inches. I'm going to come to the right at 90 degrees, 0.75 inches. Hit the enter key when I do that. Come down to the bottom. You notice it snapped right to my baseline. I'll click there. Now I'm just going to go to each corner and click on each corner and close out my object. And you can see it's all purple, which means it's fully constrained. I can click Finish Sketch, the check mark. I can now do my extrude command, and then when I go to do that, it wants to know what surface do I want. So I want to click on the surface that is that L shape that I just created. The problem is it's extruding out. I need it to be a cut extrude. So I need to tell it to use the cut command, which is the second printer looking icon here. And I also need to tell it to only be half that distance of 1.5, so that is 0.75 inches. And I'll click enter, and I now have removed that portion of my object. For our last step, get my last image up here for you guys. All right. Whoops. Well, the last step requires that I cut this corner out with this 3/4 inch cube. So again, I'm going to start on this surface. I'm going to right click on it, create new sketch, click on my mouse wheel and drag it down here to the left so I can see it. I'll use the rectangle tool again, starting in this upper right corner this time. I'll drag down into the left and type in 0.75, tab, 0.75. I now have a square that is locked at 0.75 inches. Hit the enter key. It's now purple, showing that it's fully constrained. And I will click the finish button. And the last thing is I'm going to extrude again. And the extrusion now says it's coming out, but I don't want it to. I want it to be a cut extrude, which is the second printer looking icon. And I will click OK. At that point, I have completed the object. It looks like my original. I can save it and be done with this part 2 of activity 4.2, the presentation.